Adam, a busy time. What all is happening?
We already touched on baseball a bit, just to catch you up. So Carolina went over to Raleigh last weekend. The Pack won the first two games in one-run games that were really close.
Tar Heels should have won the second game and lost in a walk-off home run in the first game.
Yes.
Should have won the second game. They were up, 4-2, and had a cavalcade of errors.
Yes. And then
dominated the third
Carolina
game.
comes back and wins the third game 14-3. Colby Wilkerson and Alex Madera down there at the bottom of the order combined for 6 hits and drive in 5 runs. So you come out of that series feeling weird. You lost 2 out of 3, but you dramatically outscored them.
Well, we've had this discussion before, and it hurt Carolina in that game. The one area where Carolina isn't really good is in the field, and they've just got to figure that out. And that's not an easy thing to you don't just snap your fingers and get better at it. You don't do that for anything in baseball or any sport for that matter. But it's just an area that has to be more sound, because it also hurt them in the Coastal game here recently. It just has to be more sound, because if they can be sound in that area, their lineup is really, really good. I think they have enough pitching that they could be a team that has the chance to go to Omaha, which is the whole goal. And once you get to Omaha, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But it's getting there that matters. Carolina can get there, but it's got to get better in the field more consistently.
Carolina did come back and beat
Scott Forbes. You hear me, Forbes? I'm going to guess that Coach Forbes is aware of this fact.
Well, and as we've mentioned, the Tar Heels have elite outfield defense. So
yes,
it's a matter of
it is the infield.
And a couple of those miscues in the state series were behind the plate, which was very uncharacteristic. So you'd like to think that was an isolated incident. Carolina does come back and beats Gardner-Webb 5-2 in the midweek.
I'm going to tell you something, Adam. So Adam and I called baseball for like almost a decade. That Gardner-Webb game, it made me remember, like, man, 75 degrees, pretty day, Boshemer Stadium. Like, those are fun days. Those are fun days. Wait a second. Adam's going to be back. He's back on the call this weekend, ACC Network Extra.
Incredible viewership spike, I'm assuming.
I can't wait. I can't be there. Adam's going to be there. I mean, not that Adam has to go where I go. We are allowed to go different places. And so I couldn't be there, but Adam's going to be there. I'm going to watch. So just know, Adam, if you're nervous.
That's some pressure.
I know. You might get nervous. I'm going to watch.
I probably will. The Tar Heels will be playing Virginia Tech, which is a big series here in the Coastal. Carolina's 2 games up on Duke in the Coastal, 3 games up on both Virginia and Virginia Tech. Hokies can really hit, and they struggle on the mound.
Yeah.
Like most every Virginia Tech team you've ever seen.
Could be a lot of runs scored in that game,
so
that series.
That'll be a big series. Good weather. Come on out to Boshemer Stadium so that you don't have to watch it.
I mean, Adam, don't lie, though. Like, and the game was fast. Like, it was like 2:40 or something. Tar Heels gave up a couple runs early, but you figured they were going to figure out those pesky Bulldogs.
Well, here is what we know for a fact. It's fun to do a subset of games.
Yeah.
When you start talking about doing all the games.
Oh, baseball's a long
college
year.
Baseball,
baseball's a long year.
That's a lot.
It's a long year. And Dave Nathan and Kyle Straub do a great job on the Tar Heel Sports Network, and they've been doing it together for a long time and do a great job. It's a long season. But I do think this time of year people start taking more interest in baseball. They just start kind of getting a little more familiar with what's happening, and it's natural. You know, basketball's finished and NFL draft and all that stuff kind of finishes up, and I think you start getting into it more, and as we've talked about, this is a team that can do something. So I hope you do take interest, because Tar Heels are a fun team.
To be sure, you've had plenty of interest in watching the Tar Heels win 2 ACC championships over this past weekend.
Yeah, 2 of our favorites. I mean, we love all of our children, Adam, but these are 2 of our favorites.
Double wagons.
Yeah. Well, hold on now. One no doubt top seed in the wagon rankings in Carolina athletics right now is women's tennis. They are the top wagon.
And they won the first ACC title of last weekend. They beat the 4th-ranked team in the country, Virginia, 4-1. Kind of surprisingly, it's the first ACC title for women's tennis since all the way back in 2021.
Yeah.
What's Brian Calbas been doing since then? Oh, winning national titles.
And then, Adam, we'll keep going. Give us some particulars.
The clincher, I thought this was encouraging. Freshman Tatum Evans wins the clinching match. I mean, that's a team with a whole bunch of familiar faces. To have a freshman do it makes you feel a little better about going down the road. NCAA Regionals May 3rd through the 5th, so that's next weekend.
And then, Adam, the second ACC title comes from the knocking on the wagon door, men's golf. Hard title to win.
This was intense.
Yeah, it was.
The Tar Heels dominate stroke play and then go to
dominated it.
And then go to match play, and first match is against Wake Forest. Those Deeks were pesky.
Yeah, they were.
Then the Tar Heels go and play one of the best teams in the country, Florida State, for the championship. Last week's podcast, Peter Fountain closes it out on 17 against the Seminoles.
Yeah, he did.
I like that. And we know Peter Fountain told us what a diehard Tar Heel he is. You know he loved that.
Yeah.
To get to win an ACC championship, Carolina Golf's first outright ACC championship since '96.
It's a good team, Adam. This is a good team.
Well,
they got a chance.
And I think speaks to that, all 5 Tar Heels in the lineup won points against either Wake or Florida State. So on that last day of competition, all 5 scored in some form or fashion.
We will, or you will hopefully hear soon some more conversations about men's golf. But we have definitely, in speaking to Peter Fountain, and Adam and I have talked to some other men's golf folks here recently. Adam, it's just a team that is positioned to do it. That doesn't mean they're going to do it because it's really, really hard. But if they can remain healthy, the 5 that they run out there in match play, the Ford boys, Peter Fountain, Dylan Minetti, and Austin Greaser, that's a tough 5, man. And it is, I'd put them up against anybody in the country in match play. They are that good. And I think they've proven to be very good in stroke play. One would think that they would advance through the regionals. It's at home, get themselves to the finals where you have to finish in the top 8 to get to the match play portion. Again, we've said this before. This isn't going to be decided for another 6 weeks. I mean, it is a long process. But they're a team that can do it. I mean, it's going to happen, but they can.
A little bit of time off before those regionals Jones was talking about, May 13th through the 15th. And Carolina will host, so come out to New Findlay.
Sneaky, underrated event to watch is the postseason college golf. I mean, it's fun to watch on TV. If you get the chance to just walk it once, or you follow a group, or you stay in a hole or whatever, it's sneaky fun. There'll be a bunch of teams out there, so it's not like you can legitimately stay on one hole and just see a bunch of different guys come through. And so it is. It's a fun event.
NCAA championships are May 24th through the 29th in Carlsbad, California.
Long way away. Yeah. Saw Andrew DiPotetto in the grocery store a couple weeks ago, Adam. This was before ACCs. And so he and I were just talking briefly. In fact, I think he was leaving that afternoon for ACCs. And I was like, oh, how we feeling? He was like, oh, this is awesome. In Charlotte, he's like, this is basically a home game for us. He's like, we travel so much and play so far away so often. He's like, to have one in our backyard is awesome. So he was fired up.
And they took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Also on the rise, as we've talked about, women's golf.
Yes.
Tar Heel women's golf had
made it to the match play portion in the ACCs.
Lost to, I think fair to say, probably a wagon. Wake Forest, the defending NCAA champion, lost 3-1 in match play.
It was competitive, though. I'm sorry, I keep
really
cutting Adam off, but it was competitive. Again, they're not in the same place that the guys are yet, but they have made significant improvement. Congratulations, Amy Neff. What, 3rd straight year that they've made the regional round, Adam?
Yeah, and they're going to be the number 5 seed in the Auburn Regional, which will be May 6th through the 8th. Then the top 5 teams advance from the regional. So if they could be one of those 5, that'd be a great year.
Yeah, take another step forward, advance through the regionals to get to the finals, where again, it's even once you get to that point, it's a long process. But if they can do it, that would be a very clear step forward.
Not as good a news in ACC championships play for women's lacrosse. Just a tough one against Virginia in the ACC quarterfinals this week. Cavs win it 13-12. Virginia's number 6 in the country.
So I was talking to somebody heavily involved with women's lacrosse here recently. And I mean, we've kind of vaguely mentioned this or straight out said it a couple of times. I said, just how big of a problem have injuries been this year? and the person said, well, 5 of our best players are not available. 5, Adam. And I'm not necessarily saying it's like the top 5 people on the roster, but I think 5 people that would have started or played a lot and are leaders. I mean, these 5, Adam, that's a lot. And I'm not trying to – Jenny Levy wouldn't want excuses, and I'm not providing – they're not a bad team, but they are not an elite team this year like they normally are. But, I mean, you're talking 5. I mean, that's significant.
And even with that, Tar Heels 14th in the RPI.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go to the postseason, so –
postseason will be announced on May 5th at 9 o'clock. That's the NCAA Tournament Selection Show. Tar Heels will be in that as per usual. On the men's side, the men lost at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's number 1 in the country. Carolina lost 14-6. Irish went on a 7-0 run in the middle of that game. Tar Heels are at home tomorrow against Duke. Duke, not as highly ranked as Notre Dame. They're number 2 in the country. So the ACC is really good, and Tar Heels are going to have to play well in order to beat Duke. Then softball swept a doubleheader against Louisville to win that series 2 out of 3. Came back, big comeback in the third game of that series. Louisville was up
they scored
6-0.
I was going to say they scored like 6 or 7 runs in the final inning, right?
Tar Heels had back-to-back homers to tie it, and then Destiny Middleton with an RBI single that was the game winner. Carolina 5-0 in series-deciding games this year. Tar Heels did drop one in the midweek to ECU. They lost 6-4 and now go on the road to Florida State this weekend. That'll be a tough one.
Yeah, they're good. So, a lot going on. And so, I mean, it is starting to whittle down some, Adam. So, we've got the Tennesses, both of whom will be playing in the postseason, the lacrosses, and baseball, softball. Is that about where we are at this point?
Track.
Oh, and track. And the guys are – the men's track's like ranked in the top 15, I think, in the country. So starting to slow down some as far as competition, but got some exciting chances on a national level, I think most notably, as we've discussed, with women's lacrosse – or excuse me, women's tennis and men's golf. But not the only ones, but I think probably your 2 best chances if you're the Tar Heels.